Jesus!
Hello, everyone. So we are recording virtually again for the first time in a bit. And boy, the adjustment of technology is a bit like pulling spiders out of your urethra.
I can't remember how anything fucking works.
Man, I can't even remember how things on my... Alright, so normally they put advertisements at start of podcasts. I'm gonna do an anti-advertisement. Micro Center can suck my entire dick. They basically held my laptop for 2 months with a litany of different excuses, and I actually don't begrudge them the individual fuck-ups because, I don't know, man, no one's really dedicated to retail work like that, but I do resent the, 3 layers of excuses into lies, into backup excuses.
It went on for quite a long time. Longer than was really plausible.
It was impressive.
At a certain point, it became, sitcom level long, where,
Yeah, it's a story that starts in September. In any case, whether your macro center is in New York, Dallas, or any of the other places this chain presumably exists, I don't know, YouTube University exists, try your hand. After all, people try to dictate their love lives based off things they learn on YouTube, so at least your laptop is a bit less tied to your...
God, why the fuck would you ever do that?
That's a great question, man. That is a great question.
Why would you do anything based on what you learn from YouTube? I mean, I shit talking a lot for how much of my day I spend on that fucking website, but I don't know, maybe because I am so familiar I can speak with authority.
Familiarity grants authority, and more classically, familiarity breeds contempt.
And I'm pretty familiar with both formats of the shows that we watched today. Now that we are done with the Coriad, we can move back to the sort of style of show that we were giving you folks before we began that particular string of episodes, which is we're just going back to a couple of shows a week.
Yeah, we're gonna get the lay of the land a bit, take the temperature of the community, see if it's still running a high fucking fever for isekai.
And this week we've got one show from this season and one show kind of from this season. Not actually from this season. We were looking at the season charts. What's hot right now is a shonen show called Jujutsu Kaisen, which Dennard actually reviewed the manga very briefly during one of our Purgatorio episodes. We've also got the return of Quintessential Quintuplets. Now, I missed Quintessential Quintuplets the first time around, so I figured we should give it a chance now that it's returning. However, it didn't seem right to start with the second season, so we started with the first season. It's a kind of a show neither of us would ever really regularly watch, but that seemed like a good enough reason to watch it, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, there's a nice chaos factor to it, because there was an interesting thing when I was coming up, of just sort of watching something because it was on, which gave me maybe a bit more of a wider lay of the land than I tend to have in my fixations these days.
I think that was something of a universal thing when we were just, all we had was cable.
Yeah. I don't know, I think I was the only one of cable.
Which is a strange thing to think about.
I think that was just me. That was only the Dayle household. That was a Jamaican invention.
It could very well be.
Just like heart disease.
Didn't really start watching television until the rise of the DVR, TVR, TiVo. I don't know, whatever the hell that thing was called. It doesn't really exist so much anymore because we have streaming now.
Yeah, now you sort of clap your hands together and say, Gaston,
give it to me.
Deliver me something micro-targeted to me.
Give me the entertainment.
By 40 executives, a $200 million studio, and a man's lifelong vision. Alright, Quintessential Quintuplets. I appreciate one thing about Quintessential Quintuplets very much.
What's that?
Which is that it is a show in the romcom genre that sucks, but is not transgressive and does not hate me.
So it was, I want to start from the top. As I mentioned before, this was one of the shows returning for the winter season. And of the entries on that particular slate of shows that I'd not yet checked out, It was the only one that I had any interest in seeing. The other ones were shit like, yeah, is it wrong to pick up girls in the... I think we got the slime show coming back. Nope, fuck that. Same for ReZero. Fuck that too. Wait, maybe not ReZero. I feel like that already... Whatever. I don't know, a whole fuck ton of isekai that I was absolutely...
Yeah,
we thought you've listened to the episode at this point. You know why I'm not interested.
We thought the isekai thing was winding down a little, but I guess the dam was just building in the background.
All the ones that people really fucking watched got renewed, and they all fucking hit this season like so many goddamn meteors. So Quintessential Quintuplets. It was the only one that I had any interest in seeing. And if I were an incel, maybe I'd have liked it more. Sorry, mean. If I were deeply insecure, maybe I'd have liked it more. No,
it's the
that's
incel
still
thing.
mean.
I'm gonna plant
If I
my
were
feet.
wondering if I'd ever feel a woman's touch before my first gray hair, fuck, I keep doing it. I don't know why I'm being such a bitch right now.
Let
I didn't even hate
Dennard
this thing.
Dayle, our maturity associate, step in.
I mean, I did not like it.
During every wedding I had ever sat through, thought about standing up and belt firing machine gun clips into the bride, the bridesmaids, and the brides again, I think that I would enjoy 1 or 2 episodes of Quintessential Quintuplets.
See, weddings and music festivals are those two things that basically everyone I know has been to except me.
Ah. Well, let me tell you, the charming thing about the wedding is that you can detect a certain breed of radioactive salt from the back right corner of the room as someone just furiously scribes the words roasties into a cell phone word processor.
And
Which
they might
is
go
not
home
to
and watch
say-
a harem show.
Which is not to say that this is that breed of, like, transgressive, but rather that it is marketed towards the aching emotional vacancy.
Yeah, it's just a shame. I wanted to like it. You know, I'd heard that it was a quality entry in the harem genre, that it actually bothered to have a cast of characters rather than just a cast of character designs. And Lord knows that is a problem that quite a few anime I could name for you face
See.
in this day and age. And I guess it does have a cast of characters, but that does not necessarily mean that it has a cast of interesting characters.
No.
In fact,
it
the
does
more
not.
I learned about a few of them, the less interesting they became. As you were saying, that's kind of the Amon problem.
That is true. In fact, in terms of expectations versus delivery on this one, it might actually at some point be worth doing some kind of like cross-medium review, because this thing won a Kodansha award in its manga
It fucking...
iteration.
Huh.
Yeah.
All right, interesting. Yeah, I have a number of days off coming up for the holidays, so maybe instead of, doing what you're supposed to do over the holidays and, spend time with family, I mean, I've got an excuse. I'll just read fucking harem manga like the stupid fucking degenerate I am.
I think it's what the Christmas season is really about. It's either that or just throwing third world manufactured products at your loved ones, and I think that my soul can sit easier with trash manga.
The trash manga is, it's safe.
Very true, very true.
So I'm not just here to take pot shots or make hot takes. The premise of Quintessential Quintuplets, I'm going to be calling it QQ or Q2 for the Code Geass reference, is you've got this overly serious star student from a poor background, his name is Usugi, I believe, who gets hired to tutor quintuplets who all suck at school. This is basically, I think, the premise of, what was it called? We Never Learn. Except
yeah, it's
the
like We Never
quintuplets
Learn.
thing.
I read the manga for that Shonen Jump episode. This sucks less than We Never Learn.
There you go. There you go. What else could you want? And there's this flash forward, right, where it's shown that he marries one of these 5 quintuplets. And they even show you her face and everything, and it's kind of funny because it doesn't matter because they're all identical, so who knows? And as hooks go, this one is not bad. It also promises not to do that fucking thing that weeb shit so often does, where they'll spend the whole series teasing romantic pairings, and then the series ends with an episode where the fucking token 12-year-old runs away to Sendai or something, and they have to go
Christ.
find her. This is a form of stupid anime bullshit, and you get points for not doing it. So Q2, I think, gets points for not doing that. I mean,
Q2...
to be certain, it has one of those premises that could really only exist in fiction and then again only in anime, but from the get-go, I'm willing to accept all of it. The problem being that the premise is really the only interesting thing about this show.
I will give it points for having that hovering, maybe tension of fucking who ends up in the bridesmaid's dress. It does not remove the show from the sort of deep-seated failure category for me. I don't know. I guess I would call it a failure that does not inspire hatred.
It doesn't really inspire much of anything. Which,
it maybe inspires me laughing every time one of the 5 primary women comes on frame. Not from a joke the show made, because the joke hit rate here is pretty damn low. But because everyone... I understand the idea that in, romantic comics, there's sort of trying to look at someone's, like, idealized form, where you want the audience to glomp onto them, or maybe even want people to J.O. to it. Maybe that's a goal.
Oh, are we about to talk about their tits?
Dude,
we're about to fucking talk about their tits, aren't we?
The fucking broadside cannons everyone on this show has.
This is what we've fucking become. We've become fucking Howard Stern.
It's fucking distracting, man. I can't.
It's like, character design wise, there were very bold choices made, very bold pronounced choices that they're gonna knock both of your fucking eyes out.
And I guess the reason that I bring it up is that it sort of made me think about escalation. Like Jim Gordon and Batman on a roof talking about escalation. Like Khrushchev sweating bullets as new types of missile get made. And when I was a kid, the fucking Coomer harem standard was Tenchi Muyo, which at this point I think looks like that meme where people hold hands and they blur it out. Compared to fucking Gaia and company wobbling out here.
Oh, it's sort of like how at Woodstock, the weed that they were smoking was so much comparatively weaker to the weed that people smoke today that you'd barely even feel it.
Exacta fucking mundo.
Yeah. I don't know if I have anything interesting to say about this other than just, list off, a couple of different terms for, memories. Gazongas, Maguppies, sweater pop. There's no joke to be made. They're just all 5 of them are just fucking distractingly stacked. I don't know if it was a great idea for the character design.
It was certainly a bold choice. Alright, so I'm going to move on from what's on the outside of these characters to what's on the inside, which is
probably a good idea.
One trait per person, I guess.
Yeah, there's some character writing on this show. It's not a lot, but there is some. You can identify each one by, their hairstyle and their personality traits.
It's like their hairstyle and what kind of wish are they fulfilling. Like, you have, the dream of the fucking nerd waifu of the girl who is sort of like a less funny version of Gakuto. In that she just has a very narrow historical interest.
Sure, okay, word. I was trying to connect the dots there just now.
Yeah, just no social skills, narrow historical interest. She seems to be the first one to earnestly sign on to the waifudom tree of overtly liking the main character or whatever the fuck.
Or something, yes.
And then there's... I believe you called her Gul'dan.
Yes, but that's rooted, very, very deeply rooted in a layers deep reference to an ironic gag based on a trailer for a thing that neither of us even play anymore.
What's important is that interacting with this girl would be difficult in more than 10-second bursts.
Yes.
Let alone marrying her, a situation I can only imagine. leads to him just having one of those embolisms that fills one's right eye with blood, and you just walk around the rest of your life like that. She also poisons him.
She fucking poisons him,
which I really enjoyed because that was for me.
Was that the
peak
humorous high point of the what we watched of this show, or was it when it was his little sister? I actually think his little sister provides at least two of whatever the three funniest gags are. I don't know what the third one is, but two of the three funniest gags on this show for certain.
For my money, the third funniest gag. Mm-hmm. It wasn't a little sister beat for once. And for this to be funny, you have to just sort of accept the show's premise that this tutor is tutoring 5 rich hot girls, whatever. Like, once you just sort of accept that as a fact pattern, the joke where it switches to this Renaissance-style portrait of him surrounded by angels, like, set up aside, I can appreciate that as a punchline to that.
I think, yes, if I liked this show, then I would have liked that joke better. If there's one interesting note about this particular character, it's that he's too serious to be horny, which is, that's kind of clever right there. Anytime the topic comes up, he's just like, would you fucking stop it?
This is one of the reasons, by the way, I say that this sucks a little less than We Never Learn, because half of the reaction fucking shots of We Never Learn are the main character just sort of looking at us level and going,
you just get to see an erection in the form of a facial expression, yes.
Yeah. Exactamundo.
No, this mostly is just, unfortunately, it's not there. It's not very funny. And here's the thing. The humor format that they went with is primarily dialogue based because Jesus, it feels like they gave Tezuka Productions like $300 and a pat on the back to make this thing. So what other fucking choice did they have? Animation gags? No, those are for rich kids. Anyway, dialogue humor. I've seen it work. Bunny Girl Senpais, of course, the golden standard these days, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the various Monogataris. But Uesugi's stiffness, while occasionally funny, is just kind of no substitute for Sakata's wit and his chemistry with Mai. There really does not exist any such chemistry between Q2's hero and its 5 heroines. I mean, they tried with that bit about the pouty headphones girl that Animemes loves and her thing with the Sengoku generals, but none of those conversations are particularly interesting, let alone funny. It's this quiet show, and I don't necessarily mind quiet shows, but it needs to maintain your interest, and it just never bothers to do that so much.
It occurs to me that I'm going to assume, just because it has 2 fucking Kodansha awards, or maybe one award and 1 nomination.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm stupid.
Maybe
I have being very unfair here. Maybe there's just something that I'm not getting.
I'm guessing, though, that at least the art must be better to be carrying that award around. So
I mean, like I said, $300 and a pat on the back.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a very thanks for showing up kind of animation endeavor. I don't know how many North Koreans they had, but it was less than 16. Or I don't know, maybe they made a budget mistake and animated this in a country of rights. Wow, I felt myself sink a little there. So
many North Koreans died to bring you this animation.
Yep. So something that this thing leans on a lot. And so did We Never Learn. This is also basically a review of We Never Learn. Like, We Never Learn is like this, but they're not related. And the dialogue's worse.
And the dialogue's worse, and it's less funny.
But
and it makes you angry.
Immune to fucking heroic rom-com speeches at this point.
Oh yeah, that was kind of an element that existed, and I forgot about it because it was forgettable.
Like, once an episode, this guy will stand up and say, I really believe in teaching you algebra. And I'm just here, who the fuck are you? Are you on fucking shrooms right now?
Care.
How important is this to you? That accusations of sexual harassment that are accurate to inaccurate, that you're willing to just put it all on the line to just teach these 5 bottle redheads to read.
And clearly one of them is a bottle something because they all have slightly different colors of hair. So someone's been fucking around with the manic panic.
Yep. Speaking of things that offend me or others, this show committed a minor cardinal sin in that
What's that?
it made me think a slur. There's an old Louis C.K. bit about this, about how just saying the N-word is worse because you just make other people fucking think it. This is back when Louis C.K. was alive. This show had a bit where all of your scores add up to 100. So if you work together, all of you who got different questions right can get 100. And it made me think words about mental conditions that are not kind.
Different levels of ability, perhaps.
Different levels of ability. Perhaps something someone would shout on Cumtown or Red Scare. But now I guess I just know where the fucking Weeaboo Hell standard is.
Speaking of offensive, I want to sort of back up a little bit. Talk less about Q2 in particular and more about the harem genre in abstract. Which is this kind of thing that I noticed or I guess didn't notice or noticed not happening.
Uh-huh.
Which is, So for this show, right, for this conversation that we're having about this show, I don't necessarily think that the, what do I call it? The core conceit of the harem genre really bears that much conversation. Like, we all kind of know, right?
Mm-hmm.
It feels like there's this kind of uneasy truce here between fans of the genre and its potential critics, where the latter are like, not in the house of my father, you weird motherfuckers. You do your sex fantasy thing over there where I don't have to look at you or think about you. And if you do that, then you don't have to see that fucking think piece you've been dreading showing up on Kotaku, because we both know that that'd be the Gulf of Tonkin right there. No one wants that shit again. We went from a game about sad dots to Milo Yiannopoulos calling for civil war on Parler.
The two houses unalike in dignity thing that hovers over this. And it makes me wonder, because fantasies of some kind of fulfillment embody a lot of other fiction I will try to play ball with, right? So I like to think I'm not immune to this.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, I know what it's like to be alone and think way too much about it, because, I don't know, I've been 19.
I have also been 19. I'm not even going to claim that I have not watched, a harem anime in my time or two and enjoyed it, and perhaps even indulged in the fantasy just a little bit. If, the more, romantic side of the fantasy rather than the, boner part of the fantasy.
But if I could be really self-indulgent as a consumer or critic, I think different movements and mediums sort of tend to build standards within themselves.
Sure, yeah.
Take, for example, in music, there are just some genres where it's not like there's something inherent to the former, you have to be more technical or more brash by default, but there's an minimum expectation before people even sort of fuck with you.
Oh, sort of like how in punk music, there's this idea that you don't need to have to play, even though there are plenty of punk bands that are really great with the musicianship and shit.
Yeah, I'm really glad hardcore got over that shit. Now, I really think that harem is sort of stuck on a way less rebellious version of 3 chords and the truth. Like, I don't know if you call it like 3 holes and the truth or something, but it's...
I don't know how the fuck you rebel in a harem anime without, I don't know, fucking including some NTR shit or something. I don't know how you fucking do it.
It's not about rebellion, but I think they...
Where can you go with harem?
but I guess what I'm trying to get is their belief is, like, if we can design this waifu, get that shimmy in, and just pull that part of the soul that is not being fulfilled by whatever in fucking modernity, then the show's a winner.
It's just such a fucking rigid format the more that I think about it. Again, once you get past all the stuff that I was talking about, where just don't think about how fucking weird this all is, or the fucking politics behind it. Just don't do that to yourself. Don't do that to, like I said, unspoken uneasy truths. Don't fucking do it. It's not worth it. It's just not fucking worth it.
I think
Once you get past all that, there are so many fucking stations of the canon that you have to adhere to. Basically every single time with every single entry. Such to the point that I'm not going to say that if you've seen one harem anime, you've seen them all. But good God, are they all built of the same parts?
I am sure that someone has done some wild shit I would appreciate at some point. But for some reason, the audience is well trained enough that the bars and so many elements, like, I think it just hurts this genre, which is prevalent, and therefore hurts the medium as a whole, that there is this tacit agreement that if a harem show does, like, these 3 elements out of the, I don't know, 99 theses that comprise a story or a show right, fuck everything else, right? Like, maybe, I don't know, maybe you could get weird with it. Maybe we could be equal. I'm just thinking that we could be equally self-indulgent and, I don't know, maybe it has a fucking SNL density of punchlines. Or maybe it's a fucking harem show where every fight scene has the fucking fidelity of Sword of the Stranger or something. Like, just put some element outside the box and also think about that. Because right now, so many of these just exist with waifus, you know?
Yeah, no. I see what you're saying. It's right now we're sort of getting into that sort of dangerous territory of let's see you do better. Almost inviting it. Almost, but I get what you're saying. There's it's not a genre that innovates too often. If this is in fact innovation right here, and you know, I've heard people who like this show say that it is, then oh man,
It's not the best foot forward.
yeah. So we were talking about animation earlier.
Yeah.
And I mentioned that they did this show on a budget.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna cut it some slack for that in the areas that are applicable.
Because the world died.
Really, Trigger and Cromartie High School before it have both shown us how to turn money problems into gags. And yeah, fine. This is not meant to be the fucking caffeine sugar rush that was Kill la Kill, nor the fever dream that was Cromartie. But damn if this does not suffer from PRT syndrome. That's people in a room talking. It is a serious but treatable condition, and Ouran Host Club is proof that you can live a normal, prosperous life even after your diagnosis.
Yeah, Ouran Host Club, it varied the background document a lot, and boy did it find some weird roads to...
Maybe I'm not being fair. Like, they go to the festival in that one episode. That's not a room. It's a festival.
That's not a room. That's people at a festival talking. Don't you enjoy that?
But Jesus, then Headphones Girl needs to go for a ride on Starchy Boy's back. So it has been. So shall it be always. And I think that brings me to what Q2's biggest problem is, which we were literally just talking about a second ago, which is it's a walk-in closet full of old hats. Every single part that it's built from is old and tired, and if you're gonna make a harem show after close to 30 years of harem shows, then you have to use those parts to do something more interesting. But they don't. It's immensely safe, and that's kind of boring. Like, if you live for this shit, if you really fucking go for harem anime, I'm sure it'll be a soft, warm featherbed of a show for you. But it mostly just reminded me of why I don't watch this shit anymore.
Watching a show with this many old hats stacked on each other like a fucking helmet is always weird for me, because it feels like someone I know wearing a mask, sitting next to me on the bus, and pretending I don't know it's them. And that gives me a feeling like they are going to kill me.
I definitely do not worry that this show is going to kill me, so that's nice.
Oh man.
It's just it's more the feeling of just, that coworker that you don't necessarily have a problem with, but you really are not in the mood for talking to them today off the clock. And here they come. They're sitting down right across from you at the break room, and they look like they've got something they want to fucking talk about, and you're just, you've got some social exhaustion from the last couple of days at work, and you're just not fucking into it right now. And just please, I don't want to tell you to shut the fuck up right now. Please don't tell me. Don't make me tell you to shut the fuck up.
Every time I hear some kind of word for exhaustion, any category paired with work, I kind of just wonder who has to die for the fucking 4-day work week to go through.
Lots of people. A lot of people are going to need to die because they will die before we get it.
The die is cast. Alright, so, other than me advocating various forms of insurrection.
That's, I think, all I have to talk about vis-a-vis the quintessential quintuplets. How about you?
Hold on, I'm going to check my notes. Which, believe it or not, people, I know I'm the more improvisational of the pair, but they do exist. Yes, I just wrote down the words, all of this has happened and all of this will happen again, which I think feeds into the previous point.
Yes, we'll make our Battlestar Galactica joke, and then we'll move on.
Alright, so, show number 2 seems to be the, I was gonna say sleeper hit, but I think it's just a normal type of hit.
I think it's just a hit. People are watching it, people are talking about it. If I talk to one of my, work friends, and he tells me that he's been watching this one anime, it's a hit.
That is an excellent way of putting it. So yeah, it's fucking Jujutsu Kaisen, right? And for those of you not plugged into what's going on with the Joneses, this is essentially, I don't know, people just sort of drift towards one battle manga more than the others in a given cycle, and this is our current...
This is it.
The question becomes, okay, you guys liked Demon Slayer a lot. Did this hit that note for you?
I was gonna say more Bleach than anything else.
Oh, I mean, I'm talking most recent success. I mean, Jujutsu Kaisen, content-wise, compares way more directly to fucking Bleach. It has this thing that I am neutral towards, and Sam's eyes sort of have started drifting to the back of his head, where it is our world, but in terms of how it treats the fantasy thing.
I have a whole fucking thing. I've gotten ready for that.
Mm-hmm.
To start, just to begin, this series gets a passing grade. I believe I am 25% of a person who would absolutely love this show. I think more about it works than doesn't. And if shit like this is your jam, then you will probably find it to be a really solid entry in this particular genre. The issue, though, is that I don't really like this particular genre, as Dennard was alluding to. And this genre, just so we're clear, is it's modern day Japan, except there's this hidden supernatural element that most people don't know about. And you better believe I dreamed up this whole magic system and taxonomy with all sorts of rules and power levels. Let me just have this one character recite the series Bible to you. Or, for brevity's sake, we could just call it shonen urban fantasy. These are your Norigamis, Blue Exorcists, Twin Star Exorcists, your Bleaches, Buso Renkins, and Kaze no Stigmas, if you want a throwback. There are other examples, and the only two I ever really got anything out of were, of course, JoJo and Yu Yu Hakusho, of course. And I think the reason that I never really got on board with this genre is that it asks you to find its breaks from reality more interesting than I ultimately do. Usually you're bombarded with more exposition than you even get from a fantasy or sci-fi story that's even more removed from the real world. And everything behind that exposition, this is the threat that the protagonists face, this is the magic system, and as described, it doesn't feel like magic, it feels like Magic the Gathering. And everything behind the exposition just feels like a chore, something I have to memorize that never actually offers me any real immersion because of how wordy and silly it all ends up being.
Well, I don't think it's that bad. Like, sometimes, it's a little artful. Like, it tells you, you need to tap 3 mana to Glamjor the Flimjow. Then you get 3 Vrangs, and each Vrang can convert into a Meta Vrang, and that's why you have to go to high school here.
Yeah, I think the mark of a good magic system, by the way, is how much you can just intuitively understand it. Just how let's give one or two examples here. We just got done with core, so let's talk about bending. You do not need to talk about bending for very long before a person who is watching this show understands how it works. I do martial arts, and it makes water move.
Oh yeah,
Cool?
bending is
Cool.
a 13-second cell, and everything that comes out of it is sort of intuitively built. It never necessarily feels like the bus is stopping outside of a fucking, I don't know, a safari exhibit, and they're explaining to you how these particular monkeys make simple tools out of bamboo.
Exactly. And then there's other systems too. Just really fucking easy to wrap your head around. The Force. You concentrate, you be at peace with yourself, kind of like new agey sort of shit. You can make shit move. Sometimes if you're the bad kind of at peace with yourself, you can shoot lightning from your hands, like Metropolis.
Here's an interesting example. This is sort of based on someone else's analysis.
Mm-hmm.
And what's really weird about it is that evidently they don't explain it that well within the Dragon Ball thing itself. But to hear it told by that Plague of Gripes guy who also does all the weird hentai shit, right? The way the fucking power level thing actually works is just you can influence things that are like at equal or lower power level, like fucking hardness. I guess what I'm saying is that even that dumbfuckery, there's like a glompable engine underneath it.
Yeah, I think the most complicated a magic system ever got, but still was intuitive and, like you said, glompable, grockable, that sort of thing, is alchemy, right? Mm-hmm. It's understood to be a science, but at the end of the day, it's here is this thing, I'm going to turn it into another thing. And yeah, there's a whole bunch of, math or something involved, but you don't actually have to understand that math to understand how this works. I have thing A, I'm going to turn it into thing B. It can never be anything less or more. Thing A needs to more or less equal thing B. They describe it to you real early on, equivalent exchange, and from then on, you more or less have a pretty good understanding of how it works.
For example, in order to convert the fandom boost of an early anime signing, you might sacrifice getting a coherent ending in your first run. And then you will go on a long quest to finish your manga, and after defeating Father, build a nicer series. I guess my point is that I hold on to no resentments in this life. So Jujutsu Kaisen's thing...
Not for that.
Is
not for Full Metal Alchemist.
Sort of full...
Never
yeah.
for Full Metal Alchemist.
It's sort of just full of little explanations of how people use their spiritual energy or whatever fucking key is called this week. And that's not terribly done compared to some other things I've seen.
No, it's not the worst. It's not Noragami. Noragami was fucking garbage, and it was garbage about this, too.
Alright, so this is kind of a strange review for me, because this is an action fantasy thing where I think the action is okay, and I'm sort of on my phone during the fantasy, but it's not literally on my phone. I have dignity as a fucking critic. But I think what tends to sort of elevate this show is that it has a charm.
Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah, it's funny. It has a simple, well-drawn protagonist.
That is how it actually kept my interest, is that it's funny. The dialogue gags are all really well written and well delivered. There's some fun, really well executed animation gags too. Honest to God, I think Mappa deserves a whole ton of credit for their work on this thing. I mean, in the hands of a lesser studio, I think Jujutsu Kaisen would have been completely forgettable, but Sung-Hoo Park is his name, who also directed God of High School, paces it out real nicely. He balances the interest curve such that none of it ever feels like a slog, and there's always something entertaining happening in pretty much every scene.
Yeah, Mappa definitely put in work, and
this was their fucking year, by the way. Holy shit.
Oh, I believe they are cackling maniacally into a growing pile of money.
I'm going to be watching Mr. Park's career with great interest from here on out, because I think he's going to end up directing a bona fide fucking classic at some point very soon, if God of High School doesn't already qualify. He managed to turn some honestly pretty pedestrian material into a really fun time, and I would not mind watching all of this thing. Like, I could do it.
I think that God of High School's sanity issues in the last 4 or so episodes might take it out of the classic.
Yeah, it's it's a weird show.
I mean, what happened is they basically just signed on to adapt the first half of this eternal webtoon thing, which turns out meant a gajillion chapters.
Oh no!
And I don't know, it's not a fucking gecko ending.
In the
but
process, they animated some of the best fight scenes I've seen in years.
That is true. And the individual like squared off arena fight scenes are fucking great. But it is.
I don't usually like tournament arcs, but it fucking ruled.
All right, here's how I'll describe the fucking God of High School's fucking plus and minus problem here.
Oh no, I'm sorry, Jujutsu Kaisen, you're getting fucking NTR'd.
It is getting NTR'd. I fucking love watching the fights of God of High School, but the show's like arrangement of the plot, it's like its own fucking YouTube highlight reel of the coolest fight scenes in a long-running show.
And yeah, no, they fit it into fucking, 14 episodes?
Yeah. I'm going to stop making out with someone in front of Jujutsu Kaisen and get back to lawyer. Though I guess I might not actually have that much more to say about this mother because...
Oh. Basic premise, which we kind of skipped over just now. Okay, so there's a shonen urban fantasy setting, and a dude who's, just pretty good at stuff for some reason, ends up injecting himself with shonen urban fantasy stuff, which means that the people who are in on the shonen urban fantasy stuff need to kill him eventually, but not until they've collected all the Dragon Balls. There we go. That was amazingly fucking flippant just now, but it is not inaccurate, anything that I said.
The dash of flavor on this for them is that he has to eat the Dragon Balls, which are the pieces of a demon named Sukuna, who, as far as I can tell, is a joking man, and...
Oh, he has a few things to say about the society and whether or not we live in it.
Yeah. So Sukuna's doing his whole joking man thing, and to prevent the world from getting joking man, he needs to eat all the pieces of the joking man. But it gives him a dark side. Should he tap into it to survive? Well,
if anything, made me think, hey, wait a second, Bleach. It was definitely that right there. I mean, I know that the whole superpowered evil thing is well-trod ground and has appeared in things before and after Bleach, but it did make me think a whole lot about Bleach.
I think there's a certain texture and flavor of it that I think Bleach just injected into the forefront of people's minds.
Could very well be, yeah.
And I think it sort of colors the way that a lot of subsequent shit has done it, so I think it's a fair fucking comparison.
Alright, yeah, that's... cool. I feel vindicated now.
Yeah.
So Yuji, this protagonist, right? His pink hair looks real fucking dumb, but as a protagonist, he lives in this really nice Goldilocks zone, I think, where the elements of his character all achieve a sort of closest without going over quality to them. He's kind of thick, but he's not an idiot. He's noticeably spirited, but he's not a self-parody, and for whatever reason, he has minor superpowers even before all the supernatural elements are introduced. That this is never explained, really, is treated as something of a gag, as other characters do not so much shill him as they do wonder, with the viewer, why the fuck this guy is capable of the things he is. And this is good storytelling efficiency, I think. Like, they wanted to avoid having Yuji start out as some chump because that ground has been tread so hard it's canyon now. But at the same time, they're very quick to tell you that he's no chosen one or anything. That ground is now Lake Superior. So I think it is the series' way of getting to the fun and games a little bit quicker, and because we've all been here before, it's not such a huge ask. I'm for it.
I'm particularly fond of the thick but not an idiot thing because maybe it's just because I just came right out of Korra. And maybe it's the terminal fucking ass pain that I felt at her inability to walk and chew bubblegum without choking on the bubblegum.
We step off the ship of fools to terra firma and kiss the ground.
There are some jokes at the expense of him going, wait, I don't quite get it yet, but he's not making terrible, boneheaded decisions at every point. And, in fact, in that sort of I don't know, Pollyanna kind of way. His thickness leads to him making fucking heroic choices that other people might
Yeah,
say.
he's a good dude. You could admire him. You end up liking him.
Yeah, I guess that's the important
they
thing.
don't do that thing with anime protagonists or shonen protagonists where he'll have this weird fucking ideal or whatever that he's super the fuck into to the exclusion of the rest of a personality, and it just makes him real fucking off-putting.
Yes, the anime cyborg. Just a man
Somewhat, yeah.
stomping
Like
through the snow, whispering the word friendship. It's a strange place.
it happens way more often. I think they do it so that you do not forget who this character is because they're otherwise very bland. So the mangaka will just sort of spin a little wheel, and whatever strange ideal that they land on, that will be the character's trait. And sometimes this is done in a way that's pretty alright. Like Arakawa Under the Bridge was really good, I thought, and the whole thing with the main character is that he just lived by this code of never put yourself in debt to anyone. And that was just his main fucking thing right there. But usually you will just fucking find, some goddamn shonen protagonist in whatever fucking genre of shonen will just have this one thing that, kinda a little bit sets him apart from a completely featureless asshole. But really, it just highlights how boring he is otherwise.
When I see that kind of thing, it goes back to like scenes having features. Like, there's nothing about I don't know, young boy targeted action thing where you necessarily have to or not do that, but they're all in the scene. They're all think breakdowns. Oh man, everything having breakdowns. That joke even ages me. God, I'm fucking dying.
Yeah.
So it goes. Let's see.
Like I said, like I've been telling you, I'll just fucking wake up in pain for no reason.
You got any design notes? Seems to be a mixed bag overall. Like I like the look of people overall. There are some things
The design's fine.
there's some things that are a little too, I don't know, bleachcore, like the fucking blindfold guy. I just feel like
Well, he seems more like Kakashi than anything else. I think that is specifically who he was supposed to be evoking, now that I think about it.
well, I do hope he enjoys his large amounts of money.
I think if I have one problem with this show, it is that the elements that are primary to its promise, specifically the action scenes and the supernatural mumbo jumbo, really just don't shine that bright. The humor and character moments were my favorite parts of this show, and while they kept me watching, I couldn't help but think that they should have been more of a bonus, I guess, than my primary reason for being here. Again, this may have more to do with how little interest I have in this particular genre, but I just wanted to put it out there.
I give this particular genre a little more rope just because I've loved one or two things within it. Honestly, I'm in this sort of same place where I wasn't that drawn in by the fantasy stuff, which is a problem for a fantasy thing. Like, maybe that's honestly a great compliment to its fucking humor sensibility.
That's what I'm saying. Just they do all of the side elements in this show so amazingly well that it almost does the show a disservice by highlighting just how, the primary elements are.
Ironically, these two shows today kind of make a fun comparison pair, because there's one thing where I'm just going to assume it perfectly checked off people's waifu buttons because fucking Kodansha Award, but it does not bother to do anything fucking else. And one show that sort of slept through class on what's supposed to be its like genre anchor, and I'm still okay with it because it can manage other things. And I think it teaches us the importance of sort of filling in the details here.
Yes. Here's the thing. It's not like the fight scenes suck or anything. Like, Yuji bursting in through the window in that one scene, I think that was it was cool, and I think it was supposed to be like the oh shit moment, like the oh shit, this is why I'm watching moment, sort of, your colossal titan kicking in the wall, right? That sort of thing.
Yeah.
And it certainly was pretty cool, but I don't know, maybe I'm spoiled. Maybe I'm spoiled by the shit that Sung-Hoo Park did earlier this year, where the oh shit moment was that fucking bike chase. And if a certain sequence from Attack on Titan takes until January for the anime to catch up to it, the bike chase from God of High School is going to end up being my favorite action sequence from an anime
Oh,
this
is this
year.
the AOT fan cast again?
We're going to try to keep it from being that. Yeah, sorry, this is not an AOT fan cast, nor is it a God of High School fan cast, as much as I fucking adored both shows.
Man, maybe the landscape has elevated itself to weeaboo purgatory. Maybe things are okay in aggregate. I mean, they're always okay in aggregate. I just really wish I didn't see 17 isekai on every season chart.
I don't think that they're okay in aggregate. I would call them below average in aggregate. Sort of like how the past month and a half has proved that America is center-right in aggregate. Not far-right, not center, not anywhere to the left. Center-right, which is not a place that I love.
Center-right.
And isekai is not a place that I love anime to be more or less as an average, as a sort of this is the era in which we live.
Center-right. What a terrifying international relations default.
Ugh. Alright, so side characters. The dude with black hair, he's definitely present. He's in this show. I think his name is Fushiguro.
I look at this dude, and I just imagine him slowly fading from season to season.
Out of the three of them, I guess someone had to have the least personality, and he just fucking drew that lot. Nobara, right? The third member of the group. I like her. I found her immediately memorable.
Hey everyone, so we had a little technical flub just now, but I just got a fucking invitation to a live music event, and I fucking hate all of you.
What in the fucking... No! Jesus fucking Christ. What?
And when I say live fucking music event, I mean like... It's fucking... Oh, it's now, at the height of the pandemic. That's cool. The term super spreader gets thrown around a lot.
Jesus fucking Christ.
So, if anyone you know in fucking, I don't know, Brooklyn or Queens bites it, I guess I know who's responsible. Sorry about that shit.
We know why. Okay.
Are you excited for live
back
music,
to, I think it was Nobara.
boutique
We were on
vendors,
Nobara, right?
art installations?
What about our installations?
I'm listing off the features of this event.
No, fuck all of this.
All right, so yeah, Nobara, yeah, that girl, yeah, she's got a charm.
I have this sneaking admiration for a character who shows just immediate naked contempt for another character, and that is definitely how I would characterize Nobara's first interactions with Yuji. I think they super overthought her power curse. I think it's called a curse. Whatever, the thing with the nails. Like, I definitely get it, but instead of feeling creative, it lands to the right of that, like, at interesting.
I think there's a thing with secondary fucking characters in, like, this fucking shonen urban fantasy kind of thing, where they are terrified of ending up with, like, a boring power in a core secondary cast member who they're stuck with forever.
The shadow of Hierophant Green haunts this genre forever.
Yeah, just sweating bullets.
So they overthink it and come up with something strange and obtuse. Obtuse, that is the word that I would
Personally,
use.
I prefer Yu Yu Hakusho's solution, which is when you get bored of their power set, just slap some new shit on there. Like, remember Kurama came out and just started shapeshifting, like, sure, fine.
Yeah, I can do this now. I was just at the outset, it's just like, hey, Yusuke, I can have a fire sword now. Yeah, okay.
Alright, cool. Rock it along.
Well, we'll do this. We'll rock with this. Yeah, fantastic. I fucking love that show. I might go back and watch it again. Or watch, an arc from it again.
Yeah, Yu Yu Hakusho has a lot of charm, and I would watch Hunter x Hunter if the creator showed any sign of ever finishing it, and otherwise I'm not doing that shit to myself.
I don't think I'm going to invest my time in a show or manga or whatever that has no interest in ending.
Yeah.
Just a quick, moment of silence here so that so that we can get let the One Piece stands yell into their microphone, at a podcast.
Man, at least that shit updates.
It does update, and it is good, or so I hear. And only here.
We could do a One Piece
Because,
episode
no,
if you want to
I
do a
refuse.
fucking, like, Clockwork Orange taped open.
I do other things. I cook for myself. I go on walks. I drink occasionally. I don't think you can do any of these things except maybe drink if you are into One Piece.
All right, should I just add "Eat It, Rubber Friends" to our list of slogans?
I guess eat it, rubber friends. You and I are enemies now.
Oh man, my favorite thing is how arbitrary this one is. All right, so suck it, rubber friends. Fruits up.
It's like getting bored in Civilization and then starting a war for no reason.
Hold on, let's draw some more line to the sand. Fruits are a lame way to deliver superpowers.
Yeah, fuck that. If you like fruits, fuck you.
Yeah, the art got better, but I still have to read the first 15 chapters and miss me of that noise. It's okay, we love all our rubber friends.
We love all of our rubber friends. This has been Weeaboo Hell. It's Weeaboo Hell.
Oh, just because I didn't say my fucking opinion, Jujutsu Kaisen, it's okay. I got bored though.
Yeah, it's fine. It's like if you like it, then that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
I do not think any less of you. The way that if you liked something like interspecies reviewers, I absolutely think less of you.
By the way, because unless we
Same goes for quintessential quintuplets. I am absolutely not, nor will I ever be the sort of person who would like this. But if you liked it, fine. That's fine.
I can see a universe where I got into a version of Jujutsu of a stronger fantasy axis, but whatever. By the way, because unless we hate ourselves, this is our last episode before Christmas proper. I just want to say what the holidays are about to me. If you are in the executive branch, I hope you drown and come.
I really do hope that you drown and come.
And
Happy
stopping it.
holidays, everyone.
Jingle jangle.